expand a little bit on when you said you really don't need a big fix for Bryce?
Yeah. I think that he's got the tools that we saw a year ago, and so I think just number one, we're going to have to teach him a new offense. So that's going to be a big part of it, And I think just from a fundamental standpoint, I just see a really accurate player. I see a decisive player. And then I think that, for him, some of the basic things that is like any quarterback improvement is footwork. Let's just continue to grow more specific to the pass concept, more specific to who is this person running this route. 3 different receivers, same route. It could be 3 different things. Again, that's a coaching thing too on that side of it, trying to get everyone to marry the concepts. I think maximizing some of his abilities are going to help that, just some more play action, some boots, some things like that that'll come off of our run game. Year 2 in recognizing pressures, he's now played 16 games, so he's got a good variety of exotic looks, coverages, blitzes, different things that might have got him. He might not have seen this or that, so we'll be able to kind of walk him through. Here's some tells on those things. So some basic year 2 improvement.
You said you watched a lot of tape on him. What was the thing that surprised you the most when you look back that you didn't necessarily see that when you're on the other side?
Just like courage, like play before he gets smoked. Next play, he stands in there, rips a 15-yard in cut, in the face of the rush, and just kind of just seeing that courage that he has, the short memory, going to that next play mentality. That's been really encouraging for me.
Have you spoken with him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I talk to Bryce probably a couple times a week. It's just right now we just can't launch into the whole football part of it, But for me, it's about learning his story. For him, learning my story and kind of getting to know each other so we understand our style of communication. I want to know who I'm talking to, and I want him to know who's talking to him, So because what'll end up happening is if we forge that relationship, then we can kind of put our guard down in terms of protecting ourselves from different things, or he might feel like I'm attacking him. Instead, no, it's this person who I know asking me to do something. So that's a really important piece for me.
You mentioned the boots and play action and doing things schematically to maybe give him some help in passing. Where are you in terms of the importance of interior protection with a guy of his stature?
Yeah, that's huge, right? So guard play, center play, really big. This was I want to say probably 8 or 9 years ago, big Drew Brees study, kind of how the Saints build their line. They want to make sure that they're really sound inside and that they create that depth of the pocket, for a guy who's vertically challenged. And so, we had Russell and we've had some guys, for Baker, kind of the same deal, and now, is it the person that's in there? Yes, but also it goes to technique. It goes to how we set protections and those things like that, which I don't want to get too specific into. But there are some things that we can do to help some of that thing just for vision.
Do those guards have a certain prototype in terms of size or style?
I think they come in all shapes and sizes. It's a fundamental thing, and then specifically like you get big massive guys who can kind of anchor the pocket. Then that helps.
How do you approach the NFL Combine? Are there any specific position groups that you'll be taking a look at?
The way that I approach it is always, every year, how can we challenge and improve our roster? So I truly believe that we should take every position on our roster after every season, and we should say, can we get better here? Or do the people that we have, or the players that we have, can they improve more from where they were at the year before? And kind of measure really take a good honest look at that, position by position, and challenge it. Challenge the roster in the draft, challenge the roster in free agency, and I'm not afraid to say that. And that should always be true, so that we never get complacent, with the guys that we have, although we love them, although we're excited about them. And I'm still learning, the Carolina Panthers as I've been watching film. Now, I have the benefit of not having the emotional connection to a lot of these guys, so I can come in objectively and just say, that's good enough, that's not good enough. And I don't want to get into specifics about who I'm talking about in that regard, but that is my advantage right now. So I just come here with really an open mind for how to improve our roster,
before I have all these relationships that I build.
Just as a follow-up, as far as draft philosophy, is it more of a best player available or filling what you think is an important need on the team?
Yeah, best player available you'd like to. I think that it's really hard to meet needs as starters in the draft. It really is. It's a challenge to get rookies to play at the level that you need them to right off the bat to make an impact as a starter. This is like years and years. You can do just quick stat searches and just see what is an average rookie receiver who's drafted in the top 3 rounds, how does he impact the roster? And you'll be shocked to see, that it might be only 1 or 2 guys that are actually contributing at a starter's standpoint, as far as defensive ends, pass rushers, are these guys producing 10 sacks like a starter would in these positions, so you kind of ask yourselves a lot of questions about these positions and how can they impact us on a roster. It's really hard to, so I think there's a best available element to that, and then from there it says, okay, all things equal, this is a position of need, then we can kind of answer those.
Dan Morgan mentioned you guys plan right now to leave Icky at left tackle.
Yeah.
What went into that decision? Because I guess that's probably goes back to what you said, you want to run the ball more versus what they did last year, spread.
And that's what he did well. Coming out is just a mauler in the run game. And so just continuing to be able to pile on that from a strengths standpoint. And then just the nature of what our concepts are, our pass game. We're really committed to getting the ball out. This is going to be a big emphasis for Bryce. Get the ball out. We're going to be on a clock every single time in the spring, every single time in camp. That's not something that's going to be new or original to the Panthers. We did this in Seattle. We did it in Tampa. I'll be a crazy stickler about it. I'm selling to Icky. I'm selling to Moten. I'm selling to these tackles, guys. Be aggressive. We're going to get the ball out so that you can just be sound in your technique. We don't have to chase things. So we don't hang them out to dry within reason. When we got to go, we got to go. Okay, but for the most part, we're going to try to get the ball out in a rhythmic fashion.
With that said, though, you guys had kind of unique success on 3rd and long last year.
Yeah.
How much do you attribute that to pre and post snap reads, and how much will that play into how you kind of coach up this scheme with Bryce?
It's game planning. So Brad Idzik was my 3rd down guy last year. And really it's the philosophy of our pass game. You just protect all angles of the cut. So if you have Mike stop at 15, you should have him go at 15. Break out, break in, double move. So if you can protect all angles of the cut in the stem, then it's really hard for the defensive back to really get a beat on what's happening there. And the same thing happens on the other side. So as we build our pass game in Carolina, we're gonna do the same thing, whether it's 3rd and long, whether it's in those medium or short ranges. Here goes the formation. We ran this play 3 or 4 times. You're gonna get a double move. You're gonna get the yin and the yang in these concepts to be able to protect it.
Coach, has there been an update on Brady Christensen and where he is in his recovery and where you kind of see him being along that line?
Not right now. I don't have a clear update on that.
Dave, a couple more guys and ladies.
2.7 at just over time, just kind of the averages. I think the average pass comes out in like 2.2. But for our concepts, if you kind of get more specific to what we're trying to do, the ball gets to the check down in about 2.7, definitely under 3. So I'm really looking at that 3-second mark where Bryce better be moving towards the line of scrimmage, ready to take off, checking it down to the back in 3 seconds or less. Now, when you're going to stretch the field, we have concepts that take 3.4. We have concepts in play action passes that take 4.2. But that's usually a half boot and buys you a little bit of time. But that 2.7 is kind of just a kind of an average for the concepts and the type of things that we throw. How that involves the first, second, and the check down part of it. So it's really not past the 3rd progression of the scheme.
You seem to be fascinated by the numbers. I don't know if I've ever heard a coach really break it down numerically the way you have. Where did that's just how your makeup is built?
Carl Smith, Tater, in Seattle, one of my mentors. He was a stickler about it, and then we kind of did our, he brought that with him to Seattle, and then we said, okay, let's make this really Russell specific, and then we did it Geno specific, and then carried over to Baker and kind of looked at that. Tom Moore was on the clock every practice with Baker. He's sitting back there, he'd look at me and kind of show me the clock, and I felt like I was in trouble, so I'm like, Baker, we're in trouble here. You got to get the ball out. So we'll definitely be surrounding Bryce with some input that way.
And how much of what happened last year and Bryce holding on to the ball? So it was Bryce's fault or scheme fault or a combination? How much?
Yeah, it's probably right now looking at the film, it's a lot of everything. So I think we have to take it as a group thing and all be committed to fixing that part of it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.